Do that real quick. 7:48. So a lot of the people that have been watching the channel and watching the shows, y'all know this topic. So I've been covering this topic, but we're covering the Bricks and Minifigs thing because, like Thunder said, the story just doesn't keep coming. It just never stops. Every time I wake up, there's always a new update, and today's update is really huge. Apparently, Reckless Ben has gotten a new judge in his court case. They switched judges. A new judge is handling this. So hopefully, and we got this video that has all the information in it that we get to react to. So, yeah.
Federal.
Hold on. So we're going to do this like how you do the Wednesday show. We'll do 30 seconds. React, get panel's perspective, 30 seconds and all that, just so we get the long video. Because it's 8 minutes, so it's a longer video. But yeah, Reckless Ben has gotten a new judge in the Bricks and Minifigs case. Hopefully this judge is not corruptive and sees both sides. But this is a huge development because the original case, the judge was starting to side with Bricks and Minifigs at first, but then the courts randomly just started kissing up to Ben. Really, like, it's just weird how they flipped because they actually saw his side and realized, oh yeah, this case is more complicated. And I guess the judge gave up. It's like, hey, another judge needs to look at it because I don't even know what's the right call here. Because at first they were fed with the narrative and they were completely on Bricks and Minifigs side, but then seeing the new evidence and made the judge kind of just, turn tail and just go, whoop, I'm out, bye-bye. So, is there any pre-perspectives before we go ahead and get into this new development?
Oh, no, I think you laid the groundwork pretty well, Triton. Well done.
All right, appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and react to the first 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Reckless Ben's now federal civil suit has been assigned a new judge, Chief Magistrate Judge Cecilia Romero of the District of Utah. What does it mean to have a magistrate judge assigned? And will this stay the judge for the entire case? Maybe, maybe not. I'll explain the process and what a magistrate judge is in this video. As a reminder, I am a civil litigator, a practicing attorney with over 15 years of experience litigating in federal courts all around the country. I have significant experience dealing with magistrate judges, and I'm very familiar with the process that's happening today. First, let me give some background about Chief Magistrate Judge Cecilia Romero.
All right, so seems like the new judge is Chief Magistrate Judge Romero. She apparently went to University of Utah Law School, former partner at Holland and Art, specialized in employal side civil. This? Yeah, you know this one. Anyways, specialized in employer side litigation, became a magistrate judge in 2019. So, what are your thoughts on the start from up and down, starting with Digny? Digny, what's your first thoughts of the 30 seconds of the judge being introduced?
Well, let's start off with the obvious, folks. This judge is a woman, so I don't have high hopes. Let's start off with another obvious point. Not only is she a woman, she has a Mexican-sounding name. All right. She's been part of the legal process now for nearly a quarter of a century, so she does have legal experience. I'm not questioning that. All I'm questioning is the fact that all the red flags we're used to, right? Female, minority. Yeah, they do creep up, folks, right? There's no smoke without fire, and this could burn pretty badly for everyone involved because it's a civil litigation situation. That's effectively a lawsuit by any other name. No one's coming out of this clean. No one.
And I agree with that. What about you, Torin? What do you make of this so far?
I agree with Digny.
Thank you. Can you elaborate? Elaborate on your agreement.
Elaborate. In fact, I'll ask a question so we can get you going. Do you think she's going to be fair based on like the information? Do you think like she's going to be fair? Do you think she's going to pick sides? Do you think she's going to be biased? you think she's going to handle the case well? Like, what do you-
Judges are supposed to be fair, but we know that's not true. So
Mhm.
I
What
don't
about-
know.
what
Depends
about-
on if she's compromised or not.
That is a fair assessment because that's the thing. If she's compromised and is for the corporations and all that, and Briggs and Minifix somehow compromises her and gets her to side with them, then she's going to be siding with the corporation and basically fucking Ben and Brian in the fucking ass in court. And I hope that's not the case, but so far, that's what I think that's what we're going to be seeing. But what about you, the gang? What does Hitler, P. Diddy, Trump, and all these people think?
I believe that well, she is from the state of Utah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
All right, well, then I'll elaborate. She's from the state of Utah. She knows the area. And that's the thing. It's like the main question is, which I can look it up, is she part of the Mormon church? Because if she's a part of the Mormon church, then that instantly raises a lot of red flags. And even if she's not, it's
Pretty
the
sure
fact-
Mormons are anti-white, are pro-white.
Yeah, but even
anti-minority.
then, it's like there's still people of different races that could be Mormon. Not only that, but she's in the area. Briggs and Minifigs knows the area really well. They have a lot of connections, so she could be biased basically because she's been in the area for so long and she could know people within Briggs and Minifigs. So I'm thinking that this bitch could be potentially biased in this situation. Now, I hope that's not the case, but it seems like, she knows. But that's the thing. It seems like she knows legally, has a lot of experience in law. So hopefully she gets to open her eyes and realize what Briggs and Minifigs did is so fucking wrong. It is so just fucking immoral. Like, they fucking took the Legos and stole them without paying Brian back. And it's proven that at least $100,000 of worth of Legos went missing. So it's like, that's the thing. It's like Reckless Ben definitely still has a case here. And hopefully she looks at that and actually realizes that Briggs and Minifigs are on the wrong. Reckless Ben did not slander them. In fact, Reckless Ben gave them a chance to speak out multiple different times, to speak their side. And they just didn't want to give the side. They just kept on calling the police, violating contracts left and right, and just kept on breaking the law and lying to the police. There's no way a sane judge that's normal sides with Briggs and Minifigs. But we know that the courts can be corrupted. Yeah, and the previous, it seems like the previous judge before the case was actually siding with Briggs and Minifigs at first, but then the last court date, he was kind of kissing up to Ben a little bit. So the judge is flip-flopping on that a little bit. So we'll see how this ends up playing out. Let's get more information.
Judge Romero was appointed to the bench as a magistrate judge effective June 2019. Prior to that, she served as a law partner at the Salt Lake City office of Holland and Hart. There, she specialized in employment practice, representing companies on employer-side litigation and counseling matters. Judge Romero attended the University of Utah School of Law, where she graduated in 2002.
So it seems like she's already biased from the get-go because she represented companies and worked defending companies against employment type shit like this. So it seems like that's already another red flag right there. And we'll get perspectives on this red flag starting going up and down again. Digny, what do you think about that? About her background of her actually sweeping for companies and going after employers? Like, what do you think? Is that a red flag? You think that means she's automatically going to be biased within this case?
I think it is a red flag, but I think it's not unique just to her, right? A lot of these legal eagles, if they want to go up the ranks of the legal system, whether it's in criminal or in civil cases, they have to have a lot of experience being, in America's case, practicing lawyers. And in the UK, it's a bit different. You have solicitors and barristers. With the US, it's all put into one, right? They speak for you and they also do your paperwork. So in order to climb the ranks, you've got to be the best at what you do. And, the best of the best work for companies that make a lot of money. What are you sucking off, Torrin?
Yeah, Tor, your background. Can you?
I think it's his front ground. He's sucking on something there. Hopefully it's a drink and not anything suspicious. But the point still stands, right? She's been doing this now because she graduated in 2002. It's 2026 currently. That's 24 years. When you have 24 years of legal experience, right, as a lawyer, and then going into being a magistrate judge, a chief magistrate judge, in regards to civil litigation, she's climbed the ranks, right? Especially if employer side civil litigation is her specialty, then of course we're bound to be suspicious, because as a lawyer, she worked for clients who have been in similar situation than what Bricks and Minifigs are, right? She either went on the attack or went into the defense of companies that could have done problematic things. You know how easy it is to argue lawfare between personalities and companies. We see that almost every day in the United States. I mean, you guys are lawsuit happy.
Mm-hmm. The lawsuits fucking happen in the U.S. the most on anything, especially with these companies. And that's the thing. It's like, America's for the land of the freedom, but for some reason we get all these lawsuits over criticizing companies, criticizing creators, and it's like there's literally more people suing over the First Amendment than people actually suing the Somalian scammers in Minnesota. And it's just like, wow, that's how like America's just going in a fucked up direction. Yep. What about you, Tor? What do you make of the background of her already defending these kind of shady companies in the past and giving them off the legal hook?
I think that's bad. Sorry, I got up to leave, so I'm a bit out of the loop for the conversation.
Okay, so basically, I can give you context because it's all just one reveal. She basically got revealed. She graduated at the University of Utah Law
I heard
School,
that part.
And she's a former part. And not only that, but the biggest reveal is she used to be a lawyer and like defend these companies.
Yeah, I heard that part too.
So yeah, it's like that's the main.
So I didn't miss anything when I got the throwaway.
No, you didn't. No. Mm-hmm. That's basically what you're commenting on.
Mm. All right. So yeah, I think it's worrisome to say the least, but maybe she'll do her job right. I'm hoping she does, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, trust is gone, if I might interject on Torrin's point. I mean, trust is gone in the institutions, and let's face it, folks, if you stand to climb the ranks of these positions by successfully defending companies in similar situations, of course there's a conflict of interest. That exists in law. That also exists in the political realm. You want to succeed politically, right? You've got to prove yourself to the party on a local level, then on a state level, being the regions, and then on a national level. That's how most politicians succeed in getting to where they are. Now, Trump is an anomaly in that case, and if Judge Romero was this Trump anomaly figure, this businesswoman who entered law, that would be even more problematic, wouldn't it? Because she's standing to judge between an individual and a corporation. Now, thankfully, that's not the case, but a lot of people are suspicious, right? Because trust is gone.
Mm-hmm. Trust is gone, especially in the legal system, because they don't even judge things fairly. They just judge based on biases. And it seems like Judge Romero has already have a bias because she's already known to defend these type of companies before. Who's to say she won't just automatically side with Bricks and Minifigs and not even look at Ben's side? Like the other judge didn't even barely look at Ben's side, because that's the thing. Let's be real, right? And I may get some shits, and a lot of fucking douchebags have turned on Reckless Spend for some reason, but Reckless Spend's in the right in this situation, and I don't think he's in the wrong. Even though he did get that estimation wrong, he's still in the right. They still stole the Legos. They fucking slandered him and all that. And I don't know how they'll even win this lawsuit when a lot of the claims in the lawsuit of him making bomb threats and murder threats and all that are just simply not true. And any sane judge that doesn't have a bias, that's judging things fairly, can look at this situation and see, yeah, Bricks and Minifigs are on the wrong because Reckless Ben and Brian gave him multiple times to correct the record and return the Legos and do the math and get the right estimates, but they refused to do so. So that's why Ben went out with his video, because Bricks and Minifigs never corrected the record and never sat down and truly had a good faith conversation. Every conversation they had was bad faith and them just slandering Ben and trying to get him arrested at any turn they can. What about you, the gang? What do you think about this reveal that this judge has a history of defending shitty, corrupted corporations?
Well, the gang's all here, and we all believe that establishment must be burnt down.
What do you think about the case itself, though? Like, what do you think about her, like, having employment connections to, like, defending these companies in lawsuits before?
Depending on how she defended him and what she was doing, she could also be speaking as of right now from, a place of, okay, these people, this company wrong. Like, she could know how companies operate, therefore giving the person that is Ben a better outcome than even he would want, because she would look at the facts and what they've done to him, thereby I'm being optimistic, but I'm hoping that she would have enough time seeing these scummy corporations that she would understand what they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. And also, I skipped the part of what's a magistrate judge because that doesn't really have anything to do with the topic. So I just skipped it to why this case was assigned, because I feel like that's more important. Because if y'all really want to know what a magistrate judge is, y'all can search it up yourselves. Like, that's not real. I mean, it is important to the topic. It's like most people already know what it is. And if you don't, you can go ahead and do a quick Google search. Like, it doesn't need like 5-10 minutes of explaining.
It's a basic legal thing, and maybe the gang should turn himself down a bit.
Yeah, mute.
All right, hold on.
But folks, if you don't have a basic knowledge of the legal system, I don't think this topic is for you. But
yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. So go ahead and get to the segment of why this case was assigned a magistrate. So let's see, why do they pick her to do this case? Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Federal bench. So what is going on here, and why has this case been assigned to a magistrate judge instead of a full judge? Well, there's nothing suspicious or abnormal about this. This is the standard process that the District of Utah follows in every civil case. They, on a first instance, assign the case to a magistrate judge. The parties then have 21 days to let the court know if they will consent to the magistrate being the full judge through trial. If the parties do not consent within that 21-day period, then the case will be assigned to a full judge, and the magistrate judge will stay on to handle those pretrial issues I talked about before, things like settlement conferences and discovery disputes and possibly other issues. However,
let's see how.
During that first 21-day period, the magistrate judge is the judge in the case and has the authority to hear any issues that are raised. So,
all right. So it seems like that the judge, the magistrate judge they have a 21-day period to consent for the magistrate judge to take over the case according to Utah State Code. And if they don't consent within that 21-day period, then a full judge is going to take over this case while the magistrate judge handles the pretrial stuff.
Yeah, and that period, folks, I can only speak of this from a British perspective rather than an American one. But that period is to give both parties the time to research this individual and their record, and then make the arguments for or against based on that record. So it is a good way of doing things. I mean, from my perspective, at least. But once that's all ironed out, right, it's just about setting the stage, right, setting the foundation. That's why legal cases take a very long time. And that's why, especially lawsuits, they never really stay topical. That's why, ultimately, no one wins in the situation. Triton was mentioning a little earlier about why people are turning on Reckless Ben. That's not the exception. It's the rule, right? Because one of the main reasons people, especially creators, despise the legal process, and especially lawsuits, is because ultimately people just get sick of it. The audience gets sick of it. Creators get sick of it. Creators in connection with people involved in it get sick of it and distance themselves. And the same is true of companies, right? If a company is actively involved in a lawsuit, it's not good for their reputation. They lose their contacts. They lose, potential connections and things like that. That's why no one ultimately wins in such a scenario.
Yes, they lose their reputation if they don't. And Cribbed 1509 asks, what's the biggest issue with political media today? Biased misinformation or sensationalism? Sensationalism. I say both.
Well, if I had to choose between one, good question, by the way.
It is a great question.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick bias, because we can deal with sensationalism.
Honestly, I would pick bias too, because sensationalism is a problem, but the bias shit is what's the biggest problem right now. Because every single time, if you go into the court system, the judges always have some sort of a bias, whether it be a racial bias, religious bias, or in this case, corporation bias. There's always some sort of bias within the legal system, and even the political media too. Whenever the media report something, they're always either siding with the corporation or some political agenda that they get paid for. It's political bias is probably one of the biggest issues going on in American media right now, and I'm sure it's the same for British media as well, because all these groups, instead of just reporting the facts and sticking to the facts, even if the facts hurt a political party that they like, they just have to form some type of narrative, no matter what.
And you can deal with misinformation. You can deal with sensationalism. I mean, sensationalism in politics is the norm in this day and age. Misinformation, it's just, folks, misinformation is a longer, more convoluted way of saying lies, right? Politics has always been filled with misinformation because politicians lie as much as they breathe. It really is the bias, right? What we need is a foundation of equality between ideologies so that there can be a level playing field for everyone's ideas, argue for or against it. And the same applies in law, right? There are some laws that are damn right crazy, right? In the past and in the present. The one that sticks out for me, guys, in the UK is what's known as joint enterprise, right? So say Triton was part of a gang, right? And one of the gang members kills someone. The fact that Triton was there as part of that gang, although he didn't kill anyone, because of joint enterprise law, he'd be charged with murder. And he would be sent away for the rest of his life. That's called joint enterprise offense, right? In which, although you didn't conduct the action, your participation in the wider action, which caused that action, means joint enterprise. That's something I've never agreed with personally, because I'm of the view, legally speaking, that the only people who should be charged with murder or manslaughter are the people who actually committed the murder or the manslaughter.
Yeah, exactly. Which America does it a little differently. We have a similar thing, but instead it's they don't charge you. If you're there at the crime, you saw it. If you let's say you're part of the group and you were there, they give you a chance to snitch on the person. But if you don't snitch on the person and you lie to the cops and it turns out that you lied or just say you didn't know and you knew, they'll still put you away and charge you with joint enterprise. But It's only if you don't snitch on the person. Like if you don't snitch on the person, they see you as an accomplice. That's how it is here in Florida, at least. Like if you don't tell on the person, they see you as an accomplice, and they're gonna charge you for like basically being participate and covering up the crime, even if like you just say the only thing you can do is plead the fifth. If you plead the fifth, they can't charge you. If you just plead the fifth and get a lawyer, they can't charge you for anything. That'd be the only way you can get away with not snitching on them, is to just plead the fifth and don't say anything at all. That'd be the only way out of it. But let's go ahead and get the perspectives of Torin and Jim. We'll on pause. Torin, what's your opinion on why the case is being assigned to the main gate judge?
I don't really have one.
How about you, Jim?
I have one thing. If I was Ben, and that this magistrate judge, like you guys think she's corrupt, right? He's probably gonna think the same thing, and they're gonna get a different judge. That's my guess.
I mean, reckless Ben could just not consent to it, and then they get a full judge.
Yeah, but
that's an option.
There's a risk in doing that. By doing that, though, because the magistrate judge will still be part of the proceedings in terms of administration, he's going to get fucked over because she's going to resent the fact that he rejected him, or the corporation. Say the corporation say we don't want this lady presiding, right? She's going to hold it against that company, and she's still going to manage the administrative side of the case.
That is true. So there's a real big risk in doing that. So in my personal opinion, he probably should just fucking not just consent to it and let her handle the case, because you don't want to get on a bad side. Like she already has a bias as it is by defending these companies. You don't want to make it worse by getting on a bad side and giving him more of an excuse to be even more biased and more unfair. Like you want to make sure you kind of pedal and appeal to the judge a little bit and kind of because you don't want to piss off the judge to the point where they just unassigned from the point where like you don't let them do the case. You want to piss off the judge to the point where she's just has a resentment towards you and influences the full judge to be biased and make a call against you. Like you want to make sure both sides want to make sure they play the cards safe, and if both sides are really smart, they both consent with it and continue with the process, or otherwise you're creating a big risk.
The big question I think you're all asking, what about the TRO? Well, as I've said before, the TRO is technically still in place, even though all parties have agreed the gag order will come out. And as I put in my videos over the weekend, it probably did expire on its own terms, but you still need the judge to confirm that. So here, Magistrate Judge Romero, for the next 21 days, has the authority to rule on any issues the parties raise. So theoretically, if the parties filed something this week asking the court to confirm that the TRO is no longer in force, or at least asking the court to confirm the terms of the agreed upon preliminary injunction, the one that has no gag order in it, Judge Romero does have the authority to decide that issue here in the next 21 days. So the next question.
So it seems like that. So she has the authority to lift the gag order and basically get rid of the TRO order and make Ben allowed to upload part 3 of his documentary. And I really hope that she does lift it, because that's the thing. It's like, I feel like it's unfair for Ben to not, speak out about this. Like I feel like he has a right to voice his opinion. But even though it's like, even then it's like, it's kind of is, because I've been thinking about this a little bit. even if they release the order, I'm not going to lie. I think Ben should still wait till after the lawsuit. And I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but now I think about it, even if they lift the gag order, let's say Ben does something that they don't like or that is just easy to use against in court, like they take something out of context and it gets used in court. It's like you don't want to risk anything. Like every legal expert that I talk to, like, watched any legal case that I've watched over like YouTube, the YouTubers always say, and the lawyers will always say, hey, do not talk about the lawsuit on social media. Keep quiet until after the lawsuit. Once the lawsuit's over, then make whatever opinion you want about it. But until the lawsuit's done, don't speak about it, because you're taking a risk of it being used against you. Because any little thing you say, any jokes, anything you say can and will be used against you in the lawsuit. And in my personal opinion, maybe people won't like this because I want to see part 3 and all that, but it is a risk if Ben does upload it early, because they could use it against him and use his words, against him, and basically use it in court, and Bricks and Many Things will end up coming on top, or at least, winning more points, because Ben's saying something like Edgy was saying something that they can turn into a big, huge burger. They'll basically find any nothing burger in the video and turn it to something bigger and use it in court. And it's just not a good idea for Ben to upload the video until after the lawsuit's over. And I know it's like people want to see the content, but at the same time, it's like Ben does have to be smart here. So
Yeah,
what do you think? What do you think about the TRO being possibly lifted? Basically, the master judge having power of the TRO. Do you think she's going to lift it? I'll start with you, David.
Look, come on, folks. The fact that a temporary restraining order was even put in place shows the bias, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's like the referee tying up the opposing soccer team's legs, okay? I understand you're not supposed to talk about, when you're in any kind of proceedings, you're not supposed to talk about it. You just don't, right? Because it opens up a can of worms. This part 3 isn't going to come out for the next year or 2, or let's just say 5 years. You guys know how long these proceedings can drag out, okay? The fact that a gag order or, TRO, a temporary restraining order, was put in place shows you who is being supported, right? Little red flags, little signs, little signals, okay? They're only how long has this TRO, this temporary restraining order, been in place? They're only supposed to be in place for about a week or 2. They're not supposed to be long.
It's definitely been longer than a week. I'd say probably like 2 weeks.
Right. Well, then that's supposed to be the maximum limit on average, right? It's in the name. Temporary restraining order, okay? So it's got to be struck down. If it's not struck down, right, how can you go into a legal proceeding, civil litigation, a lawsuit effectively, with a company as an individual, if that company has a restraining order against you or a gag order against you? Doesn't make any sense, right? And the only way it does make sense is the fact that the bias we talked about earlier is in effect. So if you want to get rid of the bias, get rid of the restraining order, right? And I think it's very important, legally speaking, for us to be absolutely open, honest, and transparent in terms of terms themselves, right? Because not everyone's going to know what a TRO is, right? So it's a temporary restraining order. By definition, it is supposed to be temporary. If not, then it's just an RO, right? A restraining order. So that context of this situation makes it very clear. The system, the judicial system in Utah, is biased in favor of the company against the creator in question.
Yep, and I agree with that, because that's the thing, because they've showed the bias by automatically giving the restraining order out, making Ben not talk about it, only looking at their side, and when Ben's like, speaking his side, basically just, ruling in favor of Bricks and Many Things, and it's just like, that's the thing. It's like the TRO would have been lifted or not even been approved if there wasn't a bias in the situation. So And I know I keep asking y'all, but I'm just doing it because we're doing it 30 seconds by 30 seconds.
That's all right.
Yeah. If y'all don't have any thoughts right now, just feel free to say no comment, or if you agree with someone, whatever. But Torin, what do you think about the whole? What do you think about the TRO being handled by the masculine judge?
I don't have any opinions on it, honestly.
All right. What about you, Jim?
Give him a second. Takes him a bit to unmute. There we go.
No, I'm good. I'm patient. But go ahead, Jim.
So basically, I believe that yeah, he's probably gonna lose.
You think he's going to lose? You think is it because of the obvious bias you're seeing?
He's screwed either way. If he gets, he's screwed if he gets another judge, and he's screwed if he gets hers. And well, fuck it.
I mean, Jim is boiling it down to the basics, but it's absolutely correct. There's a reason no one wins in situations like this. This isn't like a criminal issue, right? This is a civil issue. The burden of proof in a criminal case is far stronger than that in a civil case. So in a civil case, it's all up in the air, balance of probabilities. And since that balance is decided by a judge rather than a jury in this instance, then they're going to be susceptible far more than, say, in a jury trial where the burden of proof is very large and most, if not all, of the jury has to agree that someone is guilty, right? So
Yes.
that means the judge has to think about it, or judges, because if they change, then they have to think about it a lot more. They've got to weigh out all the options. They've got to even weigh up behaviors, not just the legal ramifications, but the behavior of everyone involved. You could have a stronger, you could have a stronger legal argument, but if things don't go well on the administrative side, or you even accuse the judicial people of being biased, that causes them to be biased against you because you suspect them, you don't trust them.
And this is why I said it's not good, even if like Ben's allowed to upload properly, is not a good idea for him to upload it right now till the lawsuit's done. And if he uploads it like while the lawsuit's going, then he's just screwing himself even more, because especially if he's showing bias to the courts and like complaining about the courts and all that and like doing all that, then they're definitely going to be biased, and he's just fucking them over. He's giving him more ammo to be biased. He's giving him more ammo to, be in their favor, not them. Because from their perspective, if they see Ben just trashing them on social media and they think it's unfair, they're going to rule on the company and be like, hey, you're being unfair, you're being an asshole, you started this whole thing and all that, and they're going to rule in Bricks and Minifig's favor. And that's the thing, even with Bricks and Minifigs, if Bricks and Minifigs start saying the court's in favor of Ben and they start running the mouse on social media as well, the same thing can happen. It's like, that's why it's good for both parties not to speak on this at all, because if once they speak on it, they're basically fucked. They're basically done for, because that's the thing. You're giving the court some and more like reason to not like y'all if you're bitching about it, because a lot of courts don't like, you just bitch, especially if you're bitching about them. You're making an enemy of the court. You can't make the enemy of the judge. You can't just go out there and bitch and call the judges biased and unfair, because then they're going to be biased and unfair because they think you're being unfair.
Exactly. And that's the thing you have to understand about these kinds of legal proceedings. Yes, the law has to be followed, but the law also has to be judged and analyzed. And that is done by people. People, even the smartest of people, are susceptible to psychological behaviors, right? You are more likely to like someone if they like you. You're more likely to be friendly to someone if that person is friendly to you. I mean, quite frankly, it's hard to have systems in place that are unbiased because we are human beings susceptible to human behaviors, okay?
Exactly.
Right? There's a reason people who are like, I don't give a damn and I go my own path and do my own thing, tend to be fucked over more in society than people who do their best to get along with everyone they meet, even if may do things and say things I don't like, but he's been nice to me, I'll be nice to him, that sort of thing, right? That's
Yeah,
how the
exactly.
world works. Because we're
And one
human
thing I'll
beings.
say before my hit play is
Go
the
ahead.
courts, how they view it is respect. If you give them respect, they show you respect. If you respect them, then they're more likely to, rule in your favor. And if both parties are respectful, then they're more likely to make both parties benefit because they see both parties are being respectful, both parties are being professional. So, and that's how they do like fair assessments. If both parties being professional and they like both parties, they just draw like a draw or dismiss the case or find a way where both of them are not getting fucked over. But however, if Ben were to go and say, fuck the judge, I hate this, or the courts are being unfair, they're being biased, they're out to get me and all this, then they will be out to get him because they don't feel disrespected that a court. And that's the thing. What Ben is saying is true, but however, here's how the courts see it. If Ben were to go on video and like expose them and do all that, the courts will feel disrespected and it'll give them more of a justification to rule against Ben and then Bricks and Minifix. They'll just give them more reason to be more biased than they already are. Like Ben's job is to win back the judge and make them not be biased, and he was apparently able to win the courts before because he said the courts were like kissing up to him and all that in that Brandon Buckingham interview. So it's like he's able to already like get the courts to like them. So it's like you just got to go in there, be respectful, and don't run your mouth on social media because if you run your mouth on social media, you're basically going to get fucked over.
Yeah, that's what's happening to a certain anti-woke content creator right now because a certain creature is using that against him. And
I talk about Smash JT. Yeah, even he. That's the thing. Even he. It's like I probably should have made a criticism, but it's like even like if you're in a lawsuit, you can't be talking about it, or that's how the courts favor the other person. Like if you keep speaking about it, and especially if you're shitting on the judges are going to shit on you with the verdict. Like that's why it's like even if you're being treated unfair, it's not a good idea to complain on social media. And once the lawsuit's over, feel free to bitch and complain and all that because you'll be justified. Because that's the thing. I'll be real. It's like even though I have my issues with Smash JT right now, he is being fucked over by Melissa McConaughey. That lawsuit's definitely bogus and stupid because all he did was criticize and make videos on her. And I don't support her suing him. But however, he's not making it good for himself by keep fucking talking about it on Twitter and talking about it on social media.
It's the Achilles heel of any content creator, sadly. And this is going to be a problem that Reckless Ben is going to have, right? Telling a creator not to talk about a topic will only cause them to talk about a topic, right?
See,
because it's been built in to the zeitgeist, right?
Yeah.
And I've known this because I've been a content creator for years now, right? Is that you always talk about things that are topical and that people are interested in, right?
Yes.
Especially when you are the topic of the day, right? Because then you can make a name for yourself and that sort of thing. This is an issue Smash has gone through. This is an issue that Reckless Ben is going to go through, especially if this lasts. And from my perspective, right, it is possible, because I've studied law for years, to be legally right, but still be screwed over by the system because of the inherent bias. And that's only added on in a civil case because of the balance. The burden of proof is based on a balance of probability.
I mean, look at the Derek Chauvin case with George Floyd. Like it was clear that George Floyd died from drugs, but yet Derek Chauvin's still in jail for murder. It's like he didn't even kill the man. It was literally proven that the drugs killed him, and George Floyd was resisting arrest and all that. And I know like people get mad, but it's like that's the thing. If George Floyd was actually an innocent guy and it was a racial thing, yeah, I'd be shitting on Derek Chauvin, but it wasn't a racial thing. Derek was just doing his job, and then everybody's like just jumping on him. And for some reason, Trump would not pardon him, and I think he should. But anyways, not to get too political with that. But
no, it's all right.
But that's the thing. But yeah, just one thing I wanted to say.
Well,
I'll go ahead and play this.
While you think about that, because there's something I want to add on to that, right? it's hard finding a balance between law and politics because of how deeply ingrained they are, folks.
Oh,
The
yeah, for
judiciary is a key part of the institutional process. So it's hard to differentiate between politics, which is incredibly biased, and the legal process.
Oh, it's definitely, yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, and then get through this segment, the other one, and then
You may be asking, is Reckless Ben and the defendants likely to consent to the magistrate judge as the main judge in the case? Probably not. Parties typically do not consent to the magistrates being the primary judges for the reasons that I stated before. The Article 3 judges typically have more experience. They typically have more expertise handling the big questions in a civil litigation, and they typically have more trial experience than the magistrate. And so for those reasons alone, I think it's not very likely that the defendants will consent to the magistrate. One other issue that parties tend to consider is the judge's background. Here, this judge has a significant amount of experience in civil litigation. She was a law partner at a large firm. She has a lot of experience in employment litigation. However, she did tend to specialize in representing employer side. It's possible the defendants may not want a magistrate who served as an attorney for corporations and large employers in the first parts of her career. However, that's only one thing that the defendants will be looking at. They will be also studying Judge Romero's prior rulings. They will look at her history. They will speak to attorneys that know and have worked with her and decide for themselves if she's the right fit for this case. And what happens if the defendants decide not to consent to her? Could they suffer any kind of blowback or ramifications from that? No. It's very common that parties do not consent to a magistrate. And so I would not expect there to be any negative effects from not consenting to this. No judge or court is going to take it personally if the parties do not consent.
That is not true. I kind of disagree with that a little bit because I feel like, let's say, she's still going to be part of the case, and she's already biased as it is, right? She's already biased, like with representing employers and all that, and Ben just not trusting and picking her, and him like basically not consenting. It's just going to piss her off. Like, you got to think, it's like, look, yes, the judges are supposed to be professional, but we are human beings. Even judges have emotions, right? Like, that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's like, yes, they're supposed to be professional, but these are fucking human beings, and human beings run on emotions, even in professional jobs. And if you piss, and that's the thing, it could be a chance where she ignores it and still is professional with it. There could be a good chance that could work out with Ben. But as far as I see what the case is going, I do not think that it's a good idea for Reckless Ben to reject the magistrate judge, because it's just going to piss her off and make her influence the full judge, because even though like she's not like the full one making the verdict, she still has influence in the case. She's still handling the trials and all of that, and she also still is in charge for 21 days. So it's
let the company reject her.
Yeah, if anything, if the company rejects her, Ben would actually be in good graces. Like, if Ben were to, he needs to see what Bricks and Minifigs going to say. If they don't reject her, then it's like maybe. But if they reject her first, don't even do it. Don't get on the bad side. Let Bricks and Minifigs, reject her, and let Bricks and Minifigs, suffer and actually win the bias in your favor. Because that's the thing, Bricks and Minifigs are exploiting the bias in their favor right now. But if it flips to your tide, then definitely exploit that bias and fucking use that to your advantage. That's why it's not a good idea for you to reject it until you know what Bricks and Minifigs do. And that's the thing, if none of y'all respond, then it's like go to a full judge anyway. So you might as well, if both of them somehow end up watching, you might as well just wait until one of the other strikes. Don't fucking deny, don't accept, just wait. And then you'll get a full judge either way, anyways, and you'll probably most likely get a fair scenario, because that's the thing. Especially for Reckless Ben. Like, if I was Reckless Ben, I would just wait until the other party responded. And if they don't respond, then I'm not going to respond. And then we'll just get a full judge. So before we get to the conclusion, Torin, what do you think about reckless spend keeping the judge? Should he keep the judge or should he get a full judge?
New judge.
New judge? You think he should get the full judge? All right. Do you think you should wait until Bricks and Minifigs rejects, or do you think you should reject it right
Wait
away?
until Bricks and Minifigs rejects.
All right. What about you, Jim?
Torn.
You agree with Torin?
Yeah.
I do too. Because that's the thing. I think you should wait. Because that's the thing. It'd be so much in his favor because she'd still be working on the case, and she could try to influence the full judge to be, on Ben's side, because the corporate company would piss her off, and she'll think, "Oh, this employer is not worth defending. I'm going to actually go with the other side for once." Because you got to understand, some people like to flip sides, and if Bricks and Minifigs ends up pissing her off, then she's just going to go with reckless spend, even though she spent her whole career defending employers, because she's going to feel disrespected by them. And once you feel disrespected, you tend to flip sides. That's just how human emotions work. So now let's get to the conclusion, and then we'll get final perspectives, and then we'll move on to Hassan.
Cases. So that's the news for the morning. I hope you found this video educational or entertaining and informative. And if so, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe, and ask any questions
Honestly, this video was informative. Shout out to him too.
you have in the comments below. I tend to look at the comments and look for your questions.
Oh, that's just him. So we're gonna get final perspectives, which what's his name? What's the channel name? The BBQ Counselor. Go subscribe to him. In fact, I just subscribed to him live on air. Go check him out. Really good guy. Because I looked at his video, really informative, and I usually don't, really comment on that, but it's like he really, helped me get up to date with all the legal stuff. So shout outs to him. But now let's get final perspectives. I'll get Torn's game up while we do it. We'll start with Digny and go up. Digny, final perspective on reckless spend getting a new judge.
Well, first of all, well-made video from BBQ Counselor. He should probably rename himself as the BBC Counselor. Oh, wait, no, that's his black friend. But I'll make it very clear right here, right now, the guy did provide a solid foundation for the situation. And look, the best way to endure situations like this is to not get yourself into these situations. I recognize trying to help someone from injustice. I get that, right? But I'm not going to pull someone out of the quicksand by jumping headfirst into it. And that's exactly what Reckless Ben has done. I expect nothing less, because it's his goddamn creator name. He lived by the reckless and he'll die by the reckless.
What about you, Torn?
I don't have anything to add.
All right.
I don't think lore is your specialty, Taran.
No, it's not.
No, yeah, and I get that, because that's the thing. It's like it was originally about just the Lego stuff, and it's all about law. So I understand that, you don't have, because you don't really know that much. So and all of that, but I'm sure you're probably not that interested in the law part. So I totally understand. What about you, Jim? So I know you're more interested in the law thing a little bit, because you. What do you think about
I don't. You know what? The thing is who's ever a better liar in court wins. There you go.
That is true. Whoever's not a better liar. Whoever is liked by the courts 90% of the time wins. Whoever's presents the more evidence that the court's in favor of, that's who the court's going to be in favor of, is whoever presents a story that they like. And that's who they're going to side with, is whoever they feel is in the right, and whatever biases they have too. Like the corporations, we don't want to fuck the corporations over, so we're just going to favor them even though they're morally in the wrong. So, yeah. On that note, that's the end of the Reckless Spend segment. Prayers for him. Shout out to the BBQ guy. And prayers for Reckless Spend. Type prayers for Reckless Spend in chat, y'all. because he's going to need it for sure. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to Hassan. This is going to be short and sweet because it's only a minute clip, and we'll get quick perspective, so it's not going to be long. So let's see. Timestamp for this.
Like the stream, guys.
Like the stream, share it with people you know. It's been a great show so far, a lot of great topics. Now let's shit on